All right. Whoops. Didn't realize I had restarted that. Oops, not that. There we go. Do a quick little sound check, see if you guys can hear me. Sorry, getting a little bit of a late start. I clicked the timer for 5 minutes, and next thing you know, the baby decides that she wants to go flying through the upstairs. My wife wasn't quite ready to grab her yet. So, and then of course, she wanted to be in here with Dada doing webinar. So you know how that would go. She's very big into the word dog right now. Everything is gog, 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 gog. But you can only handle so much of a gog before you're like, oh god, no more. Can't take any more. What did I do here? All right, cool, clear. Thank you. All right, so kind of not a horrible day in the markets. Look at this pound dollar, man. Pound dollar. There we go. Live again. 120. Quite the mover, right? And again, you saw some dollar strength today. It was an interesting day. A lot of news-based stuff. Impeachment. Then Trump talked to 27 different countries. Then they said they made this comment, and then they made this other comment, and it was just all over the place. So, assistant helping with the charts tonight. She would basically sit on the keyboard, and you guys would just see a bunch of babble kind of keep coming across, and a lot of gog, 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 gog. She's very big, and until the last couple of days, she didn't actually. She would kind of pay attention to a monitor, but now she's like so focused on anything that has a dog in it. I actually she was watching like this Cats versus Dogs movie last night, and literally you would think that you were just feeding her like sugar out of the package. I couldn't believe how like jacked she was. But yeah, she's very big into anything that is dog based right now. So she sees anything that even resembles like a dog, a deer, any type of small animal. It's gog, 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 gog. So it's kind of funny. All right, so again, today the only number we really had was oil, but today was a day that, literally was all over the place just because, really because, again, supposedly, the Chinese thing is doing good, but then there's impeachment, but then there's not, this person forced me and that person took millions of dollars. So, really kind of the markets were, kind of a bit all over the place. And again, there's no way to plan news releases like that are just, really the news. Again, this person, he said, she said type stuff. The news releases we typically focus on are the data releases. There we go. You guys can see, again, oil, 2 weeks in a row, surplus, okay, which I thought was pretty interesting. Especially because, again, as I mentioned yesterday, sorry if I'm on the soapbox, but supposedly 5% of the world's production was shut down, and, that was it. It was going to cause all these prices to go absolutely crazy. And, 2 weeks in a row with, this lowered production, and we're still sitting on the surplus. Imagine that. Imagine how that works, right? Again, did they do it to themselves? Is my question for you. It's pretty interesting stuff, right? They're literally all over the place. I honestly don't think that, what happens in real life is what happens inside of the oral, forecasting pit. It just, it is what it is. And then, something else I thought was pretty funny today, too. I don't really check it often, but I have a select group of friends that are very, very big into these guys, the cryptocurrencies. And I just have to bring this up. You guys know that I have never been a crypto person. From the very, very beginning, I've never been a crypto person. And every time that this thing goes over 10 or 11, they start running their mouths, and it's like a post. And I'm like, I haven't heard from that person for a while. I saw them post something else, and I had to go over and look, and then I saw 8,400, and I just had to kind of laugh. I'm like, just kind of funny, and some of the other things down here. People were like, when it broke 200, that was a heck of a buy. It's like, it's at $57 right now. So it's funny. Again, like I said, I don't trade it. I could care less about it. But every so often, I'll bounce over here when this person, makes a post. I'm like, I wonder what Bitcoin's down to. And it's saying 8,400, which I thought was pretty interesting. So again, oil, pretty crazy. I don't know if anybody made any money off oil today. I was kind of all over the place. The boys had wellness visits today, and again, they're 9-year-old babies basically, because once they found out they had a flu shot, I had to physically carry them into the doctor's office. And it's not going to happen because one of them's 91 pounds now, so he's on the upper end of his. He's in like the 90th percentile, I guess, for height and weight. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to be able to carry you much longer. You're 91 pounds already, you know? So that was my day today. It was quite fun. Not really. Like I said, 90-pound baby. All right. All right. So with that being said, let's kind of jump across. Whoops. I have a couple windows open, and I'm kind of moving things around. Bring it up. Here we go. Drag this guy in. So we mentioned oil. Again, if you guys traded oil, you guys can see, again, where are we at? Back down to the 56 mark. Okay. This is back on the daily. But again, what did we say was going to happen? And again, if you guys mark this one off, let's mark it off. I think it is. Is it this one? No. No. This is like not like a real, not a call out. Geometric shapes rectangle. Check that out. What did it go back and hit? Went right back to where the start of the whole thing happened. All right. So any of you guys who are carrying long-term bearish positions, there you go. It's not just in forex or not just in futures or in indices or anything else. It's also commodities. It literally went back and retraced all the way back to where kind of the start of the whole thing was. I think the high over here was what? We were back up at 63.29, and then obviously yesterday, we were down to 55.75. So quite a bit of movement in such a short period of time. Again, it just makes you really kind of question, do you listen to the news or do you listen to what the chart shows you? And again, had you been listening to the chart, this is a retracement that we play in basically everything. This is one of the examples I'll be using in the actual course because it was just too easy not to, kind of get in there. And again, haven't heard anything more about drones, haven't heard anything about production. The only thing we've heard is, production won't be off as long as we thought it would be. Yeah, of course not. You guys probably had that stuff back running online 2 days later because you want to take advantage of the high price, and nobody fell for it, and now the price is back down to basically where it was before, the drones happened. Had an overnight short, yeah. Hit before news. Good. Yeah, and it's not like it's bad news. It's not like it's good news. It's just news, right? But again, not a bad little, kind of bit there, right? So with that being said, I will pull that guy out of there. All right, so looking at currencies for the day, like I said, oil was really the only big thing. Everything else was basically soap opera drama with the president. He said, she said, we're going to impeach. These are our new, allies. I will say, I don't know if any of you guys heard it today, but if you guys heard the news conference with I guess it was the Ukrainian premier or president or whatever he's called over there, he used to be a stand-up comic. And it's funny, hearing him talk to people, actually a pretty cool dude. I got to say that I was like, man, I like this guy. This guy's pretty funny. Like, he would make comments about things. And, you can tell Trump has absolutely no, he just is not a comedian whatsoever. But you could tell that this guy was, and kind of his timing and, kind of his like little punchline about stuff, I thought was pretty good. I was quite impressed. I was like, I like this guy. This guy's pretty cool. So, yeah. No, I'm talking about the Ukrainian one. Yeah, the one after that, the one that he did after when he was with Mnuchin. When he did that, when he was like, yeah, I've met 37 different countries, and he's reading off a list because there's no way he remembered those different countries. So yeah, he sounded absolutely. I was like, oh, he's gonna have to take like a week off after this. Nobody's gonna hear about him, hear from him at all. But yeah, you could tell the dude was wiped out. He's like, yeah, we went back to back to back, sometimes 2 and 3 times, and again. I don't know what those meetings are like, but it was a pretty impressive list of countries that he kind of went through and talked to, and I hope he did. I mean, I think that's pretty cool that he did do that many. But yeah, he absolutely sounded like he got run over by a truck. Like, I feel horrible still. Like, I may sound like I'm okay, even though my voice is a little deeper, but I still feel like I got run over by a truck. I'm supposed to play lacrosse tomorrow night. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be a good idea or not. We will see. I didn't go to jiu-jitsu today, and I was kind of like, I'm hoping that like tomorrow, each day will get better. It hasn't yet, but I'm crossing my fingers and I'm hoping. But yeah, so again, that was it news-wise. Again, you guys can see, again, down 56. Didn't hit its ATR, but again, we'll go through that one. Pound dollar had the biggie today. I mean, that was again 121 to the downside, huge movement. 60 to the top side, again, that's right around the ATR. Swiss about the same thing. Right, again, that's a pretty nice pop at the Swiss. And again, I don't think anybody expected the dollar strength to come in as strong as it did today. I think a lot of the comments more had to do with China than anything else. But, I mean, it could have potentially had to do with the Ukrainian thing. I mean, the Democrats are going to, they're going to try to impeach no matter what anyway. But again, last week when they talked about impeachment and transcripts and all that kind of stuff, the market tanked. This week the guy was like, no. He's like, I wasn't forced whatsoever. He's like, and then it went up. So who knows what to believe at this point? I mean, it's the whole thing is just absolutely a soap opera at this point. Yeah. But again, overall, and again, the crazy thing about the dollar Swiss is this is a global number. This is not just how the U.S. feels. This is a global figure, okay? So it's not like we can even say, hey, we believe the news, because, again, this is a global, kind of a global market here, right? Dollar CAD really didn't do much, right? Again, you see Aussie, Aussie yen, kind of flat, and then, again, dollar yen, or pound yen, 55 is pretty flat for the day again, especially when pound dollar had so much movement. So Trump, no charisma whatsoever on his talks. I used to read all his books back. Oh, he's so tired. But I mean, Vic, look at it. I mean, you brought up a great point, right? I mean, look at Clinton when he went in versus when he came out, right? Look at Obama. He had brown hair for almost all the presidency, and then literally the last year and a half, man, he went great quick, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure the presidency just ages you like horribly bad. I mean, just the amount of stuff that you have to do. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think after you get out, I think you basically sleep for the next 4 years, and then after like the next term, then you finally start talking. That's when you do your book tours. It's kind of what I expect. That's why I was always kind of scared. Like, I thought I didn't understand at the time, but when McCain was like, yeah, I'm so old, I would only run for one anyway, one term. So, win or lose, I would only do one term, I'd be out. And everybody's like, what? But I mean, the guy was so old anyway. Nothing against him. I mean, I give more credit to the fact that he's like, yeah, at my age, I'm not going to be able to go 2 terms. There's no way. More power to him, So, but yeah, I think Trump looked old before he got there. We'll see what he looks like when he gets out. Yeah, it's going to be funny. Yeah, instead of having that, like, flawless, like, corn-soaked blonde hair, even if you dyed, it's going to just be white. It's going to totally be white. He's going to be like, what did I get myself into? Why did I do this again? So, with that being said, let's jump over and go to the scanner. All right, so as you will see, again, I still have it set on the icons. I just prefer the icons. Again, this bottom one is set on the text. Right now, again, let me hit, just make sure this updates because I was messing with it a little bit ago. Yeah, it changes a little bit. So right now, again, we are getting a lot of the pound pairs. We are getting downtrend setups, meaning obviously we've had a bit of a pullback. You'll notice, though, if you look across at the pound dollar, it's not giving you it's kind of giving you something, but, it's giving you a downtrend setup, but it's after a big move, so we have to make sure that we check that one out. And besides that, everything is basically sideways. There's really not a whole lot. I didn't really expect a lot. Oh, excuse me. Aussie, again, a lot of the stuff we had yesterday for Aussie were setups. We did have downtrend setups in those, and then today it's sideways downward bias confirmed, meaning obviously the price continued to go lower. So again, if you were able to take any of those shorts from last night, again, those would have all been profitable today. Euro pairs, again, some of them are uptrend, some of them are sideways with an upward bias. Yeah, not necessarily surprised. We'll see how that one kind of turns out at the end of the day. I did think... I am curious to see. Trump made some comments today about the European Union needs to help Yugoslavia out some more, and they keep saying that they want to, but they need to do it, financially and pay them. And I was kind of like, that's going to be interesting. I wonder how they're going to react to that statement that they need to pay the Ukraine to support them and to help them. That's not the best way to make friends in the European Union, but they got enough problems anyway. Curious to see how that kind of will play out in future talks when they talk about paying another country, so we'll kind of see how that goes. But right now, again, obviously, Euro CAD, Euro dollar, downtrend setups in both of those two, and then a lot of the pound pairs as well. We look at, 4 of these pairs is what we kind of look at. We don't have pound Aussie on the bill, but, actually, I think we do. Uh-oh. Where's the mouse? I keep signing myself out of this one. So let's see. We'll jump into some charts here. Man, you guys are all like pink today, except Josh. Josh is blue. All right, so let's switch across to this. That one. Yeah, so there's my. You're all pink letters today, like I said, except Josh. Don't know why. Just know that you guys are all labeled as pink today. All right. So also with that being said, I told you guys I would get you the link for the scanner if you guys want it. I'm not gonna hold you to it later. Let's see. Let's copy it. Now we'll go ahead and put it inside of chat if you guys want it. There is the link for the page, and that will track you through to make sure that you were linked for support reasons. And we'll put that over here as well, and put that there. All right, there. So you have both those things, so you're able to kind of see it. All right. So going into this one, let's see. Also, again, let me pull up Forex Factory over here. Now again, last night this one was a downtrend setup. Again, we were getting a bit of a pullback. We were talking about it being a little bit risky though, just based off of where we were. As you guys can see right here, if you guys can see this on this bottom left hand corner, this is where we're at right now at 21. And last night for chart school, we were sitting right, where is it? Right here. Okay, right around in this area. Right here. Okay, so we did mark off the zone. Okay, we were talking about, if we got any type of spike, trying to take something to the short side of this one, and it did. Again, it ended up spiking up about an hour after chart school, and you did get a nice run. Now, it did push pretty deeply before it started to retest that back up again. So had you got short this position, let's see what type of movement you would have got total on it. From the bottom of that zone, you got about 50 pips to the downside. So not a bad retracement, not horrible. Again, it did kind of go right through the top. So may or may not have taken entry when it did spike up. But again, we were giving you the downtrend setup last night. You were looking for an entry on that one. Gave you the zone, and again, you may or may not have gotten into that one or not. But again, nice run into the downside. It was only about a 9 pip risk. Ended up moving, quite a distance on that one. Even if you only took it for 30 back into the zone, you're okay. Now, this was what I was worried about as well. Is anything in this zone, we would have had to watch for a retracement because we knew that order was going to come in somewhere, right? If you're looking on the daily here, you can see that we had the single wick against the wall, so we knew it was an area of buyers, right? We hit one, we came back up again, we went, ground further, went pretty deep, and then again went a little bit lower. So, not surprised. The one thing that I think is good that happened with this one is the fact that it did drive probably about 75% of the way, almost 80% of the way, all the way through the zone. That's good. That means that a lot of the orders that were kind of eaten out of that range, we know that we could actually bring this down and basically take the purple down here to 70 to 50 basically. All right, so that is the one perk to this kind of grinding down last night and going through. But again, had you taken advantage of this one, again, it popped. Again, you may or may not have gotten stopped out if you did kind of a standard entry. If you drop this down onto a more like 10 minutes, you guys will see popped up, retraced, and then kind of paused, and then kind of broke through. So again, you could have taken it back on the retest here. And again, this is a pretty violent move to the top side. Dropping it lower to go for any type of a confirmation entry on this one. You guys can see this is kind of what we had here. Pop up, kind of went sideways, went over, and then boom, we collapsed. So had you waited for the confirmation, here was your confirmation entry. Typically you want to be able to take the whole thing. Your whole risk in this would have been about 11 pips. If you wanted to use the Ultra one, you would have been talking about 15, but there would have been your risk. And again, you could have thrown the wick in. That would have been entirely fine to do. And again, your risk here, you ended up getting at least 40 in the other direction. So again, it was still over a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. Had you gone for just a 3-to-1, you were looking at that's 25, 30 is right there. Okay, and again, did you take any heat in this position at all? No. Literally from your close, it went straight down, and you were in profit the entire time. So, again, a couple different ways you could have taken this one. Confirmation entry, you could have taken it up into that zone when it broke out of the bottom side of it. Again, that would have gotten you actually more out of this one, saved you an extra 9 pips. Your 3-to-1 was back to the zone, or you could have taken all the way down to a 5-to-1. Or if you had taken the confirmation entry, you still would have got over a 3-to-1, almost to a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade out of that one. Okay? So, again, that was one that the scanner did talk about last night if you guys were interested in kind of seeing results from it. Where we are now, I am going to be cautious. Again, we did get a pop out of it. It did kind of just go sideways for a long time, and we're back into the top end of the zone again. But again, we do know that there were some buyers in the bottom end of the zone, so just be a bit cautious. I'm not willing to go long with it. I am still bearish, especially with how deeply it drove in, and because on the daily, there's really not a whole lot below it. So just kind of be cautious about that one, okay? Going into tomorrow, let me see. It's Draghi speaking. I don't think the final GDP number is going to move it too much. These two guys may have a bit to do, but we'll see. I think we will continue to go to the downside. I think the dollar will be in a similar situation today as what it does tomorrow, or tomorrow is what it did today. So I think we will probably grind through, but it's not as clean as the entry that we had today. Okay, looking at the Aussie New Zealand. Okay, Aussie New Zealand is also considered sideways with a downward bias. Okay, now on this chart, it's a downtrend setup. All right. Didn't quite make it up to the top of the zone, though, unfortunately. Problem is we bounced off that bottom zone. So here's my purple line from yesterday. Remember we talked about this? And we made it basically 90% of the way through. Here's where we were skirting last night. Came up. Failure to go higher. Right here. Came up. And then, boom, collapsed all the way down. And again, if you would have gotten this collapse, you're getting out in here. Right? As soon as this kind of put a higher low in, and it broke above it, you get out. You're done. No point in risking that. Because again, whenever you have this kind of a parabolic candle to the downside, you're looking for a retrace. And that's exactly what it did. It retraced all the way back up again. I'm trying to think if I would take this short. The fact that we do have the downtrend set up, I do like it here. I do like that we came off that zone. Wish we would have got just a bit higher, though. Like, had we gotten into these descending candles, I love these descending candles. Had we gotten just a bit higher, I'd have been all over the short. I may actually hold off on this one to see if this is just a pullback to drive higher. Because, I mean, it turned really in the middle of nowhere. Even on the 30-minute, it went above even this zone and broke above it. And I mean, I don't... This wick over wick is so tiny. I don't think that's enough to kind of move it. So I want to see if this is a pullback and see if it's looking for some orders to pop up. So for me, if we get in here somewhere around, 107.80, I'd be looking to probably take some type of a short entry on this one. If we get a kind of a... I mean, again, if it starts to retrace all the way down, then no. But if we start to get kind of a flattening when it grabs orders here, or if it grabs orders here and kind of comes back up again, then I'd be willing to take a small short position in that one off of this. Okay. And again, you guys can see it. I marked it off here with the descending wicks. You guys can see what it did over here. I mean, it matched it perfectly. So that's the zone I'd be looking for kind of a short. Looking at Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar is labeled downtrend setup. Let me see here. I'm sorry. This one is sideways downward bias now. Which makes sense. I mean, we're not engulfed, but we're pretty close to it. So we did actually bounce off that zone, and then again, we've now kind of reached, basically, kind of gotten stuck at it, right? Didn't quite get the Harry Potter kind of white space that we like. I mean, it did come down here and then immediately kind of touch. So kind of small. I mean, in fact, the wick is almost touching that same zone, and same thing here. It really didn't clear too much. So not really a full retracement. I'm trying to think when I take it on this one. Let me see. So we have this. There's another one sitting right here. Let's measure this to the downside. It's only about 25 pips. Fortunately, 25 is a bit small for that. I think this one we're going to have to wait till it goes lower. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get in. I think that was just purely a target for us in the short position up here. Because here's the thing. Even if we take something small off this one, I mean, yeah, you can say, oh, it's 25 pips, though. It's like, yeah, but your risk on this one is about 12. Risking 12 for 25 when we know that we've seen the same type of pattern, right? Nice pop. Sideways basing. Very nice pop. Even better than what we saw over here. So I'd be cautious. Again, if you are short this position or any type of short position, again, you guys can take it down to this level, but I wouldn't mess with this level. You're looking at, where are we at here? 67.25 to 67.14. So just be a bit cautious with that. In any type of short position, it's just not really enough room for us to run. And again, that's also getting back into it on the daily. 67.25, which is, yeah, right here. Right at the top is this it's right here. Okay. Um, you see where it lined up on? Drew it here and it popped up right there. So again, be very cautious with that zone. Okay. All right. Pound Aussie. All right. So Pound Aussie did actually break, and again, we talked about this that it was getting sucked. So right here is where we are now at 21, and we're talking about where are we at here? 721 right there. Okay, so again, we did go lower, came higher, went down, came back up again, went over, and it looks like we're pushing back up again. So still really hasn't given us a ton of direction off of that zone. Now, on the 4 hour, at least here, we do definitely have a drop, and we do have some white space to the downside. So it does look like it's going to pick up some orders. There are some orders kind of actually hidden here. You guys will see there's a single wick against the wall right here. So not a horrible zone. Just be cautious, though, that this peak, although it looks like, oh, it really moved from there. Yeah. Well, here's where the zone was. Okay, the zone was actually formed here. Okay, let me change this to a different color. Okay, there's the zone. You guys see the pattern right here? So here's your first push. There's your first retest. There's another retest. So this will be number 3 if it comes back in it again. And that's where you start getting some failures on this one. All right, so don't really love this one as much as the other two. All right, let's look at Euro Pound. So you'll see that Euro Pound obviously had the big spike. Okay, again, had some pound weakness in there. Got a little bit of Euro strength, although it wasn't great. You guys will see it. Once we got to really about 11 o'clock this morning, it did nothing. It just totally flattened out. Okay, on the 4 hour, we got a nice pop off this kind of it based sideways, and then again gave us kind of a healthy pop up on the 30-minute. All that started at about 3 a.m., which again today at 3 a.m. you see there wasn't too much going on, right? It's the European Open, right? That's what started moving this thing. Really nothing. I mean, nothing here would be like, oh, that's why it moved. It was just European Open. They came in and decided that, obviously there's going to be some European strength in this, some pound weakness. It rallied the pair back up again. Now, it didn't quite make it back up to the zone, these two dotted lines that we were looking for. Got pretty close. Tomorrow in this pair, I think we're going to have some volatility. I'm going to sneeze again. Hold on one sec. That's not here yet. Will be soon. Just because of... Oh, no, let me get this down. Because of this. Right there. Okay? So you have Draghi speaking at 9:30, and then right at 9:45 you have Carney speaking. So be very, very cautious, because either one of these two people, either of the two could literally set this thing going crazy. Okay? I mean, again, we could start off with Draghi speaking. He could mention something about, it's not weakening as much as we thought. It could be stronger. We're going to cut back on quantitative easing. And then he could mention the word Brexit. And then all heck's going to break loose. He could not. Okay, he could just be pretty bland. And then we can come down to the BOE, and he could basically say, we're in a good position. We're not seeing this, and Brexit. And then, bam, we're off to the races there. So two people within 15 minutes of each other. Both of them, the head of the bank. Either of those two could mention the word Brexit, because, again, we are getting very close now, right? We are in September. October is just a few days away, and, that October date was a pretty popular date, right? So as we get closer and closer, again, need to be a little cautious with that. So that's why I'm not as surprised with this move. Looking down to the only zone I really love a lot would be this 4 hour zone up here. I mean, we've already hit 1, 2, 3. Again, these last two have not made it up this far. It's kind of gone in this blue area. If we do get up here to, 89. 89 was a magic number for us. If we can get up to day 89, which is about 40 pips from where we are right now, again, I think we could definitely see some shorts coming in the market, right? Some big sellers, because I think that's we got this level, and again, very clean level. We've already seen it barely be touched and forced it away in a kind of a strong movement, and then, again, it's last two attempts, not really great. So that's an area for me that I'm looking for. Put it here. You guys can see it there. Okay, he's it's right above that zone. Okay, and again, that is at 89. Technically here it's 88, 99, 5, but whatever. It's go to 89. All right. Looking across the euro yen, again, euro yen will move tomorrow morning. I don't know that Draghi will say. Trying to think. He historically doesn't really say. Put it this way, he doesn't say a whole lot that sends the market moving 200 pips in a pair like this. But I do expect he's going to say something because there's been so much talk about a global recession and global this and global that. So I do feel that he's going to say something with it, as you guys can see. I mean, look at the 30-minute. I mean, this really just there's just not a lot there, right? We're talking about peak to trough. You're talking about 30 pips total today. Okay, so didn't really move a ton, right? Very, very kind of narrow channel. And again, you guys can see here, it just on the 4 hour, it just got flat. And same thing on the daily. Now, coming back down to this bottom level here, I am liking that. I do like the fact that we are getting down here. It's shown its respect to this level before. You guys can see it drove pretty deep here, but then here it barely touched. Here it couldn't touch, and now we're in an area where we can't even get back down there again. So not a horrible level. We know there's definitely some buyers down there. I ultimately would like this to come all the way back up and tag this zone here. This level at 118.64 or 118.65, just to make it easy. Nice zone. Again, large movement down, and we were unable to get back to it. So definitely that's on my radar. Now to the downside, I'm a little bit more concerned because it's a pretty large zone here, right? We're talking about 50 pips. And again, that's drawn off the daily. God, I have a sneeze. It's literally right there, but it just won't come out. It's like torture. It's killing me. All right. But a 50 pip zone is pretty big. Now, if we kind of try to shrink this one on the lower time frame, you can see this is kind of what we're dealing with. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it in here or not. Let me get some of these out of the way. There we go. You can see it now. That's kind of what we're dealing with. So it's actually an area that's very, very difficult to make smaller. Look into the light. What do you think? I'm dying? You want me to look into the light? Come on. No, I'm doing like you know how you push on the space between like your nose and your mouth, like where your mustache goes. There's that nerve there that you can keep hitting it. But whatever it is that's making me want to sneeze is still there, obviously. But I can suppress it, and I've done it a couple of times. But yeah, my nose has been like a faucet all day today. The baby thinks it's funny when I blow my nose too. I'm like, thanks. Wait, looking into the light makes you sneeze? That's interesting. Never heard that one before. But anyway, back to the chart. You're just not seeing a lot of movement. This one is just flatlined today. Didn't do anything. Stay within such a narrow range. And like I said, to the downside, I really can't go a whole lot. I'd like it if he says something and we kind of pop up into this zone. I'd be willing to take a short for a retracement, taking it back down to the downside. All right. Looking at euro dollar. Just don't go towards the light. All right, so I can look at the light, but I just can't go towards it. It's all right. Funny story, real quick. A little bit of a tangent. So my wife, so she's basically in the process of becoming a financial advisor. She's basically a financial planner right now, and she works for this guy. And of course, once you work for those offices, it's like, well, do you have life insurance? So, everybody has their own opinions on those things. So she got life insurance, and she's mad that I haven't got it yet. And I told her, I'm like, hey, you didn't make me the beneficiary. You made the baby the beneficiary. So why should I get life insurance? You're not getting it. Why should you care? And it's like a big kind of point of contention right now. But it's kind of funny because I'm like, how am I not the beneficiary? I was like, well, then you shouldn't care. I'm like, Jin can be mad at me because, but it's pretty funny. But yeah, so I have to tell her, like, hey, the guys told me I can look at the light, but I can't go towards it. And I'm going to probably get smacked, but I'll blame you guys. So, again, euro we mentioned before, I talked about yesterday, I was still bearish. Didn't really have any type of setup in this one. There was just nothing really to get in. The only trade that we had set up was here. Here's the 19 candle, and if we go back, you guys will see the 19 candle is here. It already left the area. We talked about that. It did drive lower than I thought it was. I figured we would end up somewhere kind of over in here. I didn't think we'd actually push this far down. So I am actually glad that we did. It did clear some space and did start finally giving us somewhat of a trend, even though it's kind of funky. We have a big red, little green, big red, little green, big red. So it is giving us kind of the standard impulse correction moves to the downside, which is good. Unfortunately, on the daily, it's just giving us crap zones. It's not really giving us a whole lot of what we're looking for. On the 4 hour, again, we had the one zone last night, or I guess earlier before chart school started, that we did have kind of a hit off of. But besides that, not too much. And really looking at the downside, we have a little bit of basing here between Oh my god, I feel so much better now. So much better. Yeah, I should have just sneezed like 20 minutes ago. 109, what is this? 109.95 up to 110.03. So about an 8 pip kind of level of basing on the 4 hour, right around that green line. So that is basically straight down. And if you look at that same zone, again, it's right near the green, looking at the 30-minute, there's nothing really explosive about it. I mean, yeah, we got this little kind of burst here, but it wasn't this, right? It wasn't this. So, like I said, we got a little bit right here that isn't horrible. Okay, this is a nice pop in, a bit of a retest up. And again, the way you would draw this one is you would not be using this candle, you would be using this. So, this is a question I get a lot. We're like, well, don't I put it here? Would I just use like this little bit? I don't like that on the whole wick. Would I just do this piece? It's like, no, not really, because, again, it started here. Okay, so you really should be taking this zone like that. Or at a minimum, taking it like that. Okay? Encompassing that entire body, that entire green body on that one for the downside. Now, any type of pop into there, yeah, we would be looking for some type of a short area. And that's putting us at 109.80-ish. So just going to keep track of that one. You ain't going to win. You be getting some life insurance. Yeah, I mean, hey, I told her. I mean, James, I basically said, I was like, listen, I'm older than you. I'm going to die one day. I'm like, you're young, though. I mean, it's good for you. That's what I said. I'm like, I'm not getting it. Is it the 19 candle? I'm not sure what you're saying. I don't even know what I said anymore, Wealth Builder. I don't know. The 19 candle? Oh, the 19 is the time. Yeah. Okay, look, it took me a second to catch up there. I'm totally blaming this on the thing. So, look on the top right-hand corner. You guys see right here? Look at the bottom. The time, 1900. So what I do is I'll go back and say, okay, there was the 19. Here was the 19 last night. Right there. Right? There's the 19 candle from last night. So that's what we had basically since last night. Like I said, I told you I was bearish, but didn't have really an entry for you. We'd just come out of the area. Didn't necessarily want to chase it because we were running into the spacing zone. And boom. Dropped the downside. Yeah, I mean, I can't. Yeah, like half my face feels like I got punched in it. Like my sinuses are totally just full. And so, like, my mom got surgery. So mom's doing good. She took a shower today. She didn't fall. She didn't break a hip. She was pretty excited about it. But then her phone and her tablet both died. So, I'm going to sneeze again. See, I just can't win today. So at like 5:30, I had to drive over there, and I had to bring her like a new power cord. And miraculously, like, she can't figure anything out. Miraculously, I walk in there, put the new power cord in, and everything works again. I was like, we good? She's like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm like, I'm glad I drove 45 minutes over to give her a power cord, and it worked fine. So I think she's starting to go stir crazy because she can't do stairs at all. So she's literally stuck. I'm like, Mom, I'm sick. I don't want to be anywhere close to you right now because now is not the time to get sick. But yeah, she's got this little like wheelie cart thing, and she's just all over the place with it. But the funny thing is, so have you guys ever seen those? They're like, it's like a car. It's like basically like a scooter, but it holds your leg horizontal to the ground, like from like the knee down, so it can kind of keep it elevated. So hers has like 4 wheels on it. Jen thinks it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. She rides around on it and stuff. Well, the funny part is my mom can't back up to save her life, even in a car. Well, with this little scooter thing, she can't back up either. She like turns the wheel and goes back and hits the wall and then tries to do it again. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's absolutely hysterical. I'm like, Mom, you can't back up in a car. It means you can't back up at this little, wheelie thingy. And she can't do it. So don't tell her I said that. I know she's not paying attention tonight, so I won't get in trouble for it. You need tea with lemon and honey to sleep. Q, unfortunately, the problem is I can't breathe out of my nose, so it's killing me, right? So it's like I'm sitting in bed, I'm like, you can only mouth breathe so long. All right, so technically we are in a downtrend setup, but be very cautious with this downtrend setup right here because, again, we're hitting the very, very bottoms of this kind of on the daily, right? We saw a spike down, a clearing candle. This is where price was previously before it popped up. So again, at this point, I'd be very cautious in jumping into the trend on the way down. Last night would have been the place to enter. Again, it was a good short. It went all the way back down again. You guys can see here the risk is very, very small, right? I'll say this, so you should know what it is now. Here's the 2130 candle, because that's where we are right now, just after 9:30. And we go back, you guys can see that the 2130 candle was right here. Okay, so we talked about this, that we had already pushed out, and we're kind of sitting in the zone. We'll see what it did. And it basically based until about 5 o'clock this morning and then went crazy. It went to the downside. So it would have been a little bit painful if you guys got into it just watching it, right? Kind of watching paint dry. But again, this trade would have triggered any time between yesterday at 3 up until, what, about 7? Was where the entry was, okay? Now, again, that was off of what? The 4 hour. Okay, so if you guys are having a hard time finding these things, do it off the 4 hour. Okay, the 4 hour is like one of my, I mentioned it last night, it's one of my favorite time frames. All right? So, caution with this one again. We are kind of retracing back up again, but we are in an area of demand, so be very cautious with that one. Looking at Euro Aussie, go get something spicy, clear it up. I tried that. Actually, you know what? For dinner, I made like a tomato salad, and I had this. It's like a wasabi olive oil. Maybe it's like really good on crackers, and I tried that, and it did nothing, unfortunately. But I cut an onion up, and man, the onion killed me, and I was like, holy God. But now it's worse than it was before, so I don't know. Euro Aussie didn't really do much, right? We had one spike up, one spike back down again. You guys can see this one spent a lot of time. That's 10 million, bring it back down to 30. You guys can see, besides the spike up and the spike down, okay, it's at the same level. Hasn't done a whole lot. Again, this is this was that 9 o'clock this morning type situation, right? 9 to really the whole thing happened from 9 to 11. Okay, you had the spike up. What was the total spike on that? Yeah, about 50 pips up, 50 pips back down in 2 hours. So again, very, very quick kind of spike on that. Unfortunately, it really didn't hit. I mean, again, you could have grabbed it. You could have grabbed it off the 4 hour, I guess. Mark it off the gap candle there. Okay, that's kind of what it ran into. You guys can see it just barely touched it. I can kind of make it a little bit better. And again, it still touches it. Right? You guys can see it touched it right there. So have a bit of an entry on that one. Again, Euro Aussie is not a Nadex-based pair, so you would not have been taking this in Nadex. You would have had to take this purely in spot currency, which some of you may not have been comfortable with the run-up in the morning. Okay, again, you got to trust them. Again, this is the gap. Those are always typically areas, and again, on the 4 hour, you can see it came right up, grabbed it, turned, and flipped, and went to the downside. All right, pound yen. I'm just going to be so excited to breathe out of my nose again. So, pound yen continued its kind of downward move, although it wasn't very impressive. It had one candle, right? This candle down here, the 3 a.m. candle. Again, nice spike down. Zone was too big to take, unfortunately, for any type of position. Again, it spiked and then more or less kind of, again, it dropped a little bit lower and then retraced. Very, very hard position to really get into. Again, you guys can see it here. It did come up. It did touch the dotted lines here. It went slightly above, but that's really it. I mean, again, here's the 19 candle, right? They go back, and there's the 19 candle. That's where we were. So, yes, it went up. It hit to the gold area. But, again, trying to figure out the risk on that one, pretty difficult, okay? Just too much risk to be able to take this one to the downside. And then since that time, we've been laying on this profit target down here. And you can see we've really popped up, and it has sucked all the energy out of it. Now, this pair will be a mover tomorrow morning, so be very, very cautious. Like I said, when the BOE speaks, this one can move, especially if it mentions anything about inflation or rate changes or anything like that. This thing will take off. So just be cautious. If you have a position on, make sure you're at least protected with some type of a stop loss, or even think about taking your position off and maybe re-entering it afterwards if you still like the position. So pound dollar. Pound dollar was the mover of the day, right? And there you go. Okay. Now, what do we talk about? We talked about that we had this one zone here, right? Here's the 19. We said there's the 19. We were in this zone last night. We were short this position. And we said one thing we need to worry about is we had a zone and it wasn't super far away, but this is why we marked off multiple positions. Again, there could be possible targets. Now, this zone here, we had hit, it kind of ground, hit again. So this was number 3, which number 3 could be the potential break, right? But what did it do? It came down, it tagged the fresher level, and what did it do? It snagged it right here. Okay, hit it and bounced and then kind of flatlined off of it and stopped. So, had you taken this one in Nadex because we did have a close stop loss on this, or a close kind of opposing zone, you did very well in this one today. This was a very, very easy one that we marked off. Like I said, everybody makes fun of me because I'll draw multiple kind of different zones, but look how that one worked out, right? Went right through the first one and literally just pounced and stopped. Like on the dime, it stopped on the 30-minute right off of that one. Hit and then just nothing. All right. So I like the fact that this one is down sitting inside of a demand zone. Again, it serves as a target. Now we're going to hope that it kind of grinds down a little bit tomorrow before he speaks. Now, It is some time from now. Again, it is not a 3 a.m. It's not kind of an early morning release. It is a 9:45 a.m. when he is talking. So it's going to really have to kind of be flat. And again, it can happen. Okay, it can happen because people are going to be kind of waiting to hear what he has to say. But I don't know if we're going to kind of be able to stay right in this zone. That zone, it starts at 123.47 and we're at 123.63. So almost 20 pips. I don't know that we can stay within a 20 pip range from now till that talk. I wouldn't be, it wouldn't be horrible if it kind of went up and then kind of came back down again. If it could kind of go up here and eat some of these orders out before it came down, I'd love for the news release I'd love for it to be in here for the news release. Now, if the news release has the power to pop this into like a zone like this, again, not this one, it's way too close. If it pops it to here, then again, yes, be looking to short. If it goes to the higher one, obviously be looking to short. But I'm going to wait till a zone gets hit on this one. I may potentially, if we are in this bottom zone before news, I will probably be willing to take something out of the money just to get some type of a spike and play the volatility on it because it's an easy volatility play. Okay. But again, it's important to look at this one tomorrow. Once you guys get up, 8:30, I would definitely get in there and start looking at this guy because again, this will be a mover tomorrow. Okay. Looking at pound New Zealand, I would not touch this pair tomorrow with a 10-foot pole. Unfortunately, this thing has the power to kind of get crazy anyway with smaller levels of news. You guys can see today, what did it do? It kind of it's coiling up, right? I mean, again, you guys can see it dropped and kind of came back, and some retraces here. But this is like at this point, it's like a snake, and there's a rattle at the end, right? I'd be very cautious. This one, I mean, we obviously know the ATR on this one is 160 pips. When this sucker moves, again, this last burst to the downside was 205. I can't even imagine when this one could have the potential to do tomorrow if there's some really kind of damaging or really, some pound strengthening news. This could be like a 280, a 300 pip move. So be very, very cautious. How are you getting in these positions on the minors and on the lower time frames without getting beat up on the bid-ask spread? Well, here's the thing, Vic. When you're putting the position on, you have to take the bid-ask spread into consideration, and that typically adds into your risk level when you're putting the position on. And you have to understand the factors that are involved with that. Time of day, news releases, volatility, the volume of the pair. So there's a bunch of different things that really you have to take into account for. That's why I said it's easier to, people are like, well, I trade these, I like trading this one over here. It's like, well, that's a super hybrid pair. The spread on it's like 6-7 pips. Like, why? That's quite a bit of buffer. It's also the reason why I use ATR a lot. Okay. ATR helps with that as well. But good question. Great question. This is an example right here. Look at the spread on this one. Right? Not super cheap. But again, what can it do? It can move, 200 pips in the right direction. Another thing to think about too is it depends on what type of strategy you're trading, right? So if you're going to be a set and forget trader, some of the minors are a little bit more risky. Why? Because you may take some heat into the zone first, right? Before it turns and flips on you. Because you don't know exactly where the orders are sitting. You know the approximate level, right? And again, if you have to take, this one is at what? 8 pips right now spread? Okay. 6 to 8 is fluctuating back and forth between. You're going to have to take that into consideration. Now, if you're looking at this to where you get in as a confirmation, right? If you get into a color change, typically color changes, you don't get as many entries, right? Obviously, because it ups your odds and ups your success factor, but it does make you take on a little bit more risk. But a lot of times when done correctly, you don't really take any heat at all because it's already moving your direction. So a lot of times it's easier to take a confirmation entry on a minor pair like this just because the spread's going to be bigger, so you don't want to take any heat if you don't have to. Okay? Because typically you have to add a little bit of buffer. And again, that's based off the spread, the ATR, and a couple different things. Okay? So hopefully I didn't confuse everybody in here. I was listening to myself and it made sense to me, but then again, sick, nose, sinus, whatever. But hopefully that made sense. If it made sense, just tell me, guys, so I know. But yeah, that's how. Okay? Now, with that being said, technically the New Zealand dollar is considered major, but it's not a pair that I look for in my own accounts because I typically just don't feel like I get enough movement out of it. Again, can it move? Sure, it absolutely can. But, a lot of times I just feel like I can hold the capital in a better place. Now, here was that kind of old zone that we had before. It was based off the wick over wick, and you will see we just missed it. Now, again, not a Nadex based pair, so you guys could not have done this with Nadex, but it did come down. It did hit. Okay, this is the old zone. Kind of came up. It hit. Again, this is where we were last night. It spiked all the way up, and then what did we do? It retraced and went all the way back down, went through the zone, and went all the way lower, lower, lower. So again, we talked about this one last night. We would have liked if we got, we hit higher, but we didn't. It kind of paused. And again, this is exactly where we were last night, right? You guys can see it right down here. It says 21, it says 21.30. Right here it says, 21.30 right here. It came down, it hit, and this was, you guys set this up. Ernest, I believe you got short this one last night. But again, it just went away. This is one we talked about. Nothing real else to say about this one. We've pushed all the way back down, and again, target-wise, where did we go? Right there. Okay. You guys see that? Where do we go back down to? The start of the move. Okay, so it's our typical kind of target setup, right? Now, where we are now, again, we are sitting in a demand zone. So if there was some type of big news, I'd be looking to go long this pair. But I don't think we have anything tomorrow. That is Friday, yes. Tomorrow, not really. I mean, final GDP is considered, you guys can see it, it's an orange. We should already know what it is. This one should not be a miss. You guys can see this one is not. They definitely do not miss this one as often. They were for a little while, but they've gotten much better at it. And the Fed has actually made comments about how they're trying to be more accurate with their data. And again, final GDP is one that I think we should be okay. I'm not expecting a huge move from it tomorrow. Kind of off topic from chart school, but where do we find the account ID and API tokens for the scanner data? Great question. If you have an Oanda account, you can put that in there. And if not, it's inside of your account section. You'll see a button that says APIs, and you hit a button and it'll create them. If not, you can do the same thing with FXCM in the demo realm. Yeah, actually, if you look on the right-hand side of the page, the main page of that one, there's a support thing, and it kind of shows you. There's a handout that shows you how to do that. But I can walk it. I can get it and copy it in the forums for you later on. All right, so that would be this pair. Now, dollar Swiss. This is becoming the new Ernest pair. I think because Thai is kind of wrapped into babyhood. We haven't seen Thai as often here. Ernest has picked up the mantle for this one, right? He has taken this one from Thai and made it his own. Now, nice burst to the top side, right? Not a bad pair. One of the things that you guys can kind of see on this one is, again, I didn't catch this one. It's just not my favorite pair either. You guys can see that we had a nice zone here. I'll move it over so you can see the candles inside of it, right? So again, it's let me change this from orange. There we go. So see that zone? These are the candles that I talk about all the time, right? The ascending candles, especially in the base, love them, right? They're showing us that there's definitely buyers there. So had you marked off the green body, look at that. Not a bad little move, right? Again, based off of the 4-hour candles. Again, love ascending and descending wicks like that, okay? Came up, kind of hit a little wick over wick there, pulled back, and boom, that was a reversal point. Huge mover in this one. Like I said, this entire move today. Many props to Ernest for grabbing this one. Like I said, I don't look at it. 70 pips to the top side. Okay, great trade. A lot of many props to him for that one. Not a pair that I, like I said, not a pair that I focus on. Other thing too, guys, is one of my rules is when I am sick, I do not trade. Okay, just be kind of aware of that. Taking sinus medicine and having a fuzzy head is not the time to put capital at risk. Just FYI. So again, I'm doing the analysis, but make sure you guys are back. If you're taking anything that we're talking about tonight, I mean, there's not as much tonight as there was last night. Just make sure you're backing it up with your own analysis. Okay, because like I said, I won't trade in my own accounts when I'm sick. It's just one of my rules. I found that my quality of trades went down when I was sick, and my personal kind of recommendation is you guys should do exactly the same as well. If you guys are sick, you should not be looking at not be looking at putting live capital into the markets. Save it for when your head is 100% clear and you're well rested and things like that. It just doesn't make sense to go into this with less than an ideal situation. Okay. All right, going into dollar CAD. All right, so dollar CAD still a mess. A little pop, little retrace, and again, it's just getting smaller. This one, again, this kind of is getting the same remember we talked about this. We did finally get a breakthrough, and then what did it do? It pulled right back into the middle of the zone, and kind of we're sitting at the bottom again, right in the same channel. So this is like the channel of messiness, right? I'll remove these so it's just a little bit more clear. But what we're starting to get in this one now is kind of that same pattern that we had inside of the euro, kind of like almost like an umbrella, where it's big wicks and it's making kind of this big kind of overhang. It's not giving us really a lot of clear intention of whether it's trending, it's not trending, and really where buyers and sellers are. Up until kind of this point here, we're good, right? Even into here, we weren't bad. But then ever since this kind of, this spike up and then the gap back down again, I mean, this is really all engulfed in that Friday candle, right? From here to here, here's Friday. All of this is literally engulfed. All this channel sideways moving has been engulfed since Friday. So really nothing that, I'm not going to sit there and be like, hey, this is great. No, it's not really. I mean, there's much better opportunity in almost every other pair that we've seen right now versus dollar CAD. Okay, now again, small things, sure. There's pops here, but for the most part, you're going on very, very small time frames to play dollar CAD. Dollar Swiss was much better. The New Zealand dollar from last night was better. The Euro dollar from last night was better. The Aussie yen and the Aussie dollar were both better setups from compared to this one. This is just not a pair that is really giving us a whole lot right now. Look at dollar yen. Also, when the mason jar is empty, it's a great time to log out and not trade. Yes, James, that is typically a good time after a full mason jar. Now, is it a little mason jar like those little half ones, or is it like the big like pickling mason jar? Because that makes a difference too. Because I feel like with only like one of the little ones, you're only like nicely like, I feel like you're ready at that point. That's like just like pre-gaming. But like the full like pickling size jar, yeah, probably best. The half gallon. Yeah, when you get to the glass handle at the top, you know that it's probably a good time to stop, right? I'd be dead. All right. Yeah, next time I come to Texas, I'm gonna tell my sister, yeah, I'm gonna fly into Dallas, and for some reason my flight got canceled. I'm just gonna have to drive across, and you're gonna have to meet me at the airport, James, with a mason jar. All right, so nice big pop in this one. It did go a bit higher. It actually pushed back up, and again, this zone was breached right by the top of this one. We talked about it last night again. Big push down. Here's the 19. There's the 19 before. We talked about how you missed this one, but again, we weren't really interested in taking the short because it kind of went back into the same area. Kind of a similar situation. Here's that single wick. It must not have saved. I think it crashed on us last night. There's kind of the touch, right? A little bit, this technically is a bit risky, right? You're talking about 17, 18 pips, which is a little bit high for what we talk about. But again, on the 4-hour, we had a bit of a retracement situation, right? Large parabolic candle moving up. At 17, you're going to have to pull about 45 to 50 out of this one. Well, about 55, 51, I guess, is what you need to the downside to be able to make this a viable trade. You're looking at basically into about here, okay? That zone is a bit deep, okay? Here, if we were talking about being in this area here, I think it'd be good, okay? But unfortunately, you need to get down a bit lower, and I think that's going to be, again, it's a bit far. And again, you would have to catch this one at about noon today, okay? Now, this is kind of what I talked about yesterday about this is the one issue with Nadex, okay? Had you taken this in spot currency, you were basically not negative. You'd be positive all day long today, and you didn't have to worry about any type of risk on it. But again, your initial kind of outlay of money would have been a bit more. Now, had you taken this position in Nadex, right, around 12 o'clock, you had till here. Actually, till 3, right? Till here. Okay? It didn't really do much. Okay? You're talking about going from 107.80 to 107.87. So it moved about 7 pips in that time frame. That's where it gets painful. And again, that's the one downfall with Nadex is the fact that, again, that's the cost of having the stop loss situation and the leverage is the fact that you have time value. Okay? In this case, the time value would have eaten you up. With it out of the money, it would have eaten you up real quick. And at the money, it would have been pretty much the same. 8 pips is, again, got to worry about those spreads. And of course, it ended at 107.80. So, you were sitting there right on that one strike price. So it had been real close. And again, Nadex always a tip, a little bit higher. So had you taken a short, that would have probably been a loser. You didn't even move one strike price in that one. So again, this would have been purely a currency one. Now again, too, that was purely off the daily. Had you kind of tightened this area up a bit, if you had brought it up into here and said, yeah, I'm going to do it off of, that zone right there, so I can encompass those two areas, you wouldn't have made it. You truly had to take, the entire bit of that. And again, from the 4 hour, to better get that entry. So it was pretty close. And at this point, you've moved down in what? A total of, 18 pips. So in, I don't know, 10 hours, you've moved 18 pips. So, Ernest half gallon, that's the small. It's a small. Nice. All right, so if I'm looking at this now, I am going to say that I'm probably more bearish. I think it's moved a bit far to be able to get into the entry right now. Even for Nadex, unfortunately, I just don't think we have enough tomorrow. It's a shame that this isn't tomorrow night. I guess final GDP could. Here's the problem, okay? So final GDP, if there was nothing else besides final GDP, I'd say that wouldn't be a bad one to kind of take a risk at, particularly if the price rallied up overnight and we were sitting in that supply zone right before the GDP number. The problem is right now in the political environment, there is so much kind of bantering back and forth about impeachment, not impeachment, impeachment, not impeachment. I think it's a little bit of a risky situation with no other real true news. People are going to be hinged upon and focusing on what is in the news tomorrow. Going into Friday, I think, is a better trade setup. Having durable goods and personal spending, I think, will actually give us the power to kind of just say, hey, this is what's most important right now. We need to, the market needs to readjust because we were wrong. But tomorrow is one of those things that you just can't really plan for. And like I said, today, we were talking about emails again and, Biden again, and it's kind of like none of this has anything to do with what you were just spent the last couple of days doing, but let's talk about it, right? So I think Friday would be a much better day than tomorrow to kind of mess with this one to the downside with what we've moved already. So definitely bearish. Again, if we grind up, we're sitting in here, maybe a better opportunity, but we may have a bit of retracement for as much as the markets rally today, tomorrow, okay? Last but not least, let's look at CAD Yen. Come on, you can load. We made it through without crashing. You can do it. Don't forget that, guys. Hit exclamation point ticket. 80 of you guys are in right now. Your odds are pretty good. Over 10%. So CAD Yen. Again, this is the 4-hour zone we drew on CAD Yen. You guys can see it came up and touched it about... What are we talking? About 5 hours ago. To downside. Okay. Again, 4-hour zone. I know you guys typically look at this one just in oil. And again, nice rally up today. Kind of push down and push up. Hit. And it has now started to kind of retrace back again. Now, not a very fast retrace. It is quite slow. And again, it can happen. Again, Canadian market is not open right now. The yen is a passive base pair. Now, with that being said, we do have, again, 2:35 in the morning. BOJ speaking again tomorrow. So this obviously can set the market off, and we'll see where it can go, particularly in something like this where it's the CAD Yen. It's basically going to be just, the CAD is a very weak pair. It's not one that you typically trade against, but it's obviously going to be stronger than the yen, but it's one of the weaker pairs versus any of the other ones out there to trade. And because it's not open, there's no Canadian institution money that is going to be kind of counterbalancing anything that the Bank of Japan says. So there could be potential movement in this one, continue to the downside. But maybe, maybe we retrace back up in the area and potentially we could blow it up, which would be fine. If we blow it up to the top side, I'd be really excited because then if we blow up into here, we've cleared all this junk out. And then we have a really nice little red zone that's very easy to see to the downside with a target at the bottom. So that would be great. I'd be all over that one. But no, again, it's at 2:30 in the morning. I definitely won't be. If I'm awake, I'll be so miserable. I'm definitely not going to be looking at the chart. All right. So with that being said, that will be it. We will go over. Give you guys about 30 seconds to get in on this one. Josh has got 2. Josh is going for big money tonight. With that being said, guys, tomorrow night, if I'm able to walk, I'm going to go try to at least sit on the sideline and support the team tomorrow night. So I have a game at 8:30. So tomorrow night, I'm going to do a chart school from 7 to 8. We're going to try the early time again. Hopefully, I get no calls from the school this time. We've had 3 days of good behavior this week. Hopefully, we go through number 4, and I won't be dealing with that again next week or tomorrow. But yeah, so we're going to do 7 to 8 p.m., and then I will literally just run into the game. It's only 5 minutes away tomorrow, and hopefully not die. I'm hoping that I wake up tomorrow, and I'm like, man, I feel so much better. Because right now, it's rough. I don't know that I could run down the field and back again without falling over. So don't forget, it'll be 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, and we'll try that time. I'm just afraid that there's no way I'll be able to do the 10 to 11 with being sick. It'll just be too much. All right, so I will close the giveaway. And let's go through and draw it. And Q just got in there. Winner is Ernest. Look at that. Ernest with 1. Now, I think the star next to your name means that you are a hacker. No, I'm just kidding. No, the star next to your name, I believe, means you are a subscriber. I believe. Yes, it means that you are a subscriber. So, like Wealth Builder, you are a Twitch Prime person, but you're not subscribed to the channel anymore. Vic, you're not subscribed. And Josh. But we found out that Josh has an Amazon problem, so that's why Josh does not have Amazon Prime. But Wealth Buddy, you are actually linked as having a Twitch Prime, just not subscribed to the channel. Not that that makes any difference in winning, but I think it does make a difference in how many pip chips you get. All right, so Mark is done. We'll give Ernest his. Ernest is saving up to buy the Ferrari. Oops, no, not that one. Where is it? Ernest is running away with it. Whoops, not that one. Not 14. 25. There we go. There you go, set. And look at this. Wheel is at $4.99. So close, but yet so far. All right, guys. So with that being said, definitely tomorrow morning, watch out for BOJ movement early. I know you guys like to stay up. You guys will be able to see it. What is it? Private Ernest. How much do you slip Bryan over the pip chips? That's Prime, right? Yeah. See like how you have a crown next to your name? If you hover over it, it says Twitch Prime. And then you can see like the little star means that it's subscribed. What are the perks of subbing? If you sub, let's see, loyalty settings right here. So any viewer receives 1 pip chip for every 10 minutes. Subscribers receive 2 pip chips for every 10 minutes. And there's a bunch of other things, but I have no idea. It says all subscribers will receive 20 pip chips upon subscribing. And I think that's what renewals as well. All followers get 1 pip chip. And there's like tips and hosts and all this stuff that I have no idea how all that stuff works. But the biggest thing is you earn twice as many pip chips per hour or per 10 minutes when you are a subscriber. And as I said, as soon as the class is done, I will have the other thing. I will have not only mentoring up here, but I will also have one of the classes up here. And I'll start adding more things as well. We'll start putting more of them up here once I kind of understand how it works. I believe we have one person that is going to be redeeming. I just haven't seen it yet. Oh no, it's there. Ryan did it. So Ryan is helping me out here. I'm going to give Ryan I'm going to give Ryan some extra mentor sessions because he helped me test out the redemptions. He had enough pip chips that he redeemed. Not that I got an email, but he's helping me test it. So I'm going to hook him up for being the first one through and give me a hand, give him some extra sessions, as much as he needs. Let's see how to fix that. If you do the free one, you have to manually re-up the sub each month. Yeah, you do have to redo it each month, yeah. Because like I said, if you have, that's the thing. So if you guys have Amazon Prime, you get Twitch Prime for free, and you get to do 1 sub a month on a channel, and it doesn't cost, it's free. Normally, I think people pay like $1.99 or something to sub to a channel, or $4.99 or something to support the streamer. But you get 1 for free with Twitch Prime, or Amazon Prime. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, so Ryan got enough Ryan redeemed, so I'm going to be working with Ryan sometime soon, and he basically said that he wants to make, Ernest, he wants to put a target on Ernest back and post twice as much as Ernest. So I have my work cut out for me with him. No, just kidding. Is it pinned in the general cart? Is what pinned in the general cart? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean, Mouth Butter. Is it pinned in the general cart? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just up at the top. Like next to the follow, there's a subscribe button. But it already knows that you are a thing. Oh, how to Prime subscribe? You're already subscribed because it says that you're a Twitch Prime. So to subscribe to the channel, I think just at the top, I think over here where it says gift sub. If you just go to here, it says following or whatever, you guys would just click that. I think the button's right here. I think it just says subscribe. You just hit it, and then I think that's where the dancing shark comes from. I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where the dancing shark comes from. Could be. Everybody wants a star like Ernest. Yeah, the star is for a subscriber. All you have to do is subscribe. I can find a link. I'll send you a link if you want. It's in there somewhere. All right, guys. With that, I am out of here. It is 10 after. I am going to go. I'm going to go get me some NyQuil. See if I can get some sleep tonight. I click on the top on the top left of the pip ship leaderboard. Oh, how do you redeem it that way? How do you find the store? Yeah. Yeah, thank you, man. Trust me, I want to feel better tomorrow too. Like I said, my team is we don't have a lot of subs. That's why and I didn't go last week because of all the drama. So that's why I feel bad if I miss 2 weeks in a row. So I may only be good for like a face off or two and be like, yep, got to quit on you guys. Sorry, but at least I was there for the team, and if I can stand there and look, I can stand there and look pretty if I need to. There's always room to stand there and look pretty. All right, guys, I'm taking off. I will catch you guys later. Take care.